After a few hundred rounds on the OA Defense 2311, we have some thoughts. We're gonna go over some things I like and some things I don't like. But first, just being honest with you guys, they did send this out to us. They did not pay us for this review, and we have to send this gun back. They do not get to see the video early, and they did not tell us to say anything specific. So with full transparency, just wanna let you guys know exactly what's going on. Jumping right in, we have the Compact Pro ported version of the 2311. It's a lot of options, but this is what they sent us, and I like it a lot. I think the things I like about it the most is the aesthetic. This slide just looks phenomenal. It obviously does have porting, and while we are a comp company, I can appreciate people trying to reduce more recoil. With the Pro version, you get 3 optic plates and an additional suppressor height front sight. Sitting on top of this optics plate, we have the Romeo X from Sig Sauer. Don't have many rounds on this to form an opinion, but I like it a lot so far. With this optics plate, you'll see they have a front sight. I'm not a huge fan of backup iron sights. They just kind of impede my window. These are pretty low profile and they don't impede it too much. The front sights on this are made by Night Vision, and they are very nice. Back when we had no dot on here and it was just irons, I liked it a lot. I'm not usually an iron sight guy, but it was just very easy to see with the orange tip and looked really good. Talking about looking good, this gun just looks phenomenal. The aesthetics are very impressive. I like the look of the Pro version more than the standard compact, but there's not too many differences. These cuts just make it look really sleek, and with the two-tone gray frame, this thing just looks phenomenal. After shooting a couple hundred rounds, there's getting to be a little bit of a patina on the slide, so it's almost graying out and kind of matches the gray in the frame. In sunlight, it looks really cool. I think they really knocked it out of the park with the aesthetics on this gun. Moving down further, they do have an ambi safety. This is pretty common on 2011s. And then they have a slide release that is also ambi, which is really interesting. And unlike most 2011s that I felt, this actually has a slide release that works. Most of the time, they're nestled up in the front. They're really small, they're hard to hit. But when I do a mag change, this is pretty much perfect location. My thumb hits it easily. I don't have to break my grip to hit that slide release, so I could definitely appreciate that a lot. I will say the hammer is actually really nice on here. This looks really cool. It's kind of a partial skeletonized hammer. It looks really good. Obviously does the job. They opted to use the same hammer they do on all the 2311s. Just looks really good. I'm glad they didn't change it. Moving our way down, something I really like about this gun is it's got a built-in thumb rest on both sides. This is awesome. One, because it's a built-in thumb rest, but two, also it fits 320 holsters, which is honestly really surprising and really nice because we do a lot of 320 stuff, so I have a lot of holsters. And this is the Tier 1 Concealed Axis Elite, and it fits perfectly. We actually did some testing on the range with this, no complaints at all. It also fits the T-Rex Arms OWB holster. You might want to adjust retention though. It is a little loose, so keep that in mind. Every holster manufacturer is different, every holster is different, so definitely get a hold of OA Defense if you want to check a holster you already have or if you're looking to buy one. But in our case, we have tried the 2 major manufacturers and they work just fine. Actually makes me want to carry this gun, which I think this gun was designed to round carry. Only holding 15 rounds, it really shortened up that grip. So obviously they were trying to make this a concealed carry handgun or a civilian duty gun, if you will. With this current setup of this gun, I really don't think too many people would have an issue carrying this. Another thing to note on the Pro model is they have the gray frame cover. It has an enhanced grip texture. It's gonna be a little more grippy than the standard 2311. And they also included this extended mag release. This is actually pretty nice. It's not so big and bulky that it's annoying or in the way, but it does the job and it looks really good. And once we get to the bottom, there is a magwell on here. I like this magwell a lot. It's very small. It's pretty comfortable. I will say this gun does feel a little cramped with only 15 rounds. You can see my palm is pushed over the edge. It feels a little tight. I actually like the feel of the other magwell that you can put on here. It's a little bit bigger. Me personally, I have no problem carrying a frame that size. And if a magwell is gonna make it the same length as a 17 round frame, you might as well just make it a 17 round frame. This magwell kind of pushes my hand up into the trigger guard and has a little bit of a hot spot. It's not bad. Just one thing I noticed with this magwell. For me, I'd like to see a little more clearance on that. Another thing to note about this magwell is it will work with Herrington Arms +5 mag extensions on the 15 round 320 mag. We have not tested this mag extension on the OA Defense mags that come with it, but if you're running a standard 320 mag, this will work just fine. We had no issues with this. It also adds a little bit of length to the gun, makes it look very proportional, and I like that a lot. One thing to note with this frame, and it doesn't just go for the Pro Series compact, but you can take any of their magwells, the larger one to fit a 17 round mag, and you can bolt it right up to here. Or if you wanted the smaller one, you can do that. It's just a little bit of modularity that is really nice to have. Another thing that's really nice about this Pro model is the trigger is a 3.5 to 4 pound trigger. And this is unlike pretty much any 1911, 2011 trigger I've felt. It's almost perfect. There's almost no take up, and there's only maybe an 1/8 inch of travel on the trigger. Super crisp break, and then the reset, very tactile. You literally can't ask for more from a trigger. If I think about the perfect trigger, this is definitely it. The length of pull is pretty much perfect as well. My finger doesn't want to be sliding down. It's just in a very good spot. It's pretty much perfect, and it looks really good. I like what they did with the skeletonization of it. It looks really cool being able to see through it. It's a modern mesh between the 320 and the 2011. The 5 mags that come with this gun are very nice. They have the OA Defense logo on the bottom. They seem to be a really nice finish. There's no rusting. I've seen sometimes SIG mags will have rust bubbles under them, or they don't look super good. These do not seem to be that way. They seem to be super nice, really nice polish, and a really nice coating on there. No complaints with the mags you get. And it's really nice they give you 5 with the Pro. There's a lot of companies that would never give you 5 mags. It's really nice that they put an emphasis on training. If a gun just comes with 2 mags, it's kind of annoying. You have to buy a bunch more to go to the range and use it a lot if you're doing a lot of target shooting, or you're gonna spend a lot of time reloading, so I can appreciate that. One thing I really like that they did is they include this really nice bag. Now it comes in a really cool cardboard box too, like most guns, but this one actually comes with a range bag. You get 5 mags with the Pro model, which is awesome. It comes with all of those optic plates. You get this stick of oil for your gun, which is really nice, and that's in the first compartment. And then in the second one, there's plenty of room for the gun. We adjusted this and was able to fit the TLR1 in here, so even if you're running like a Surefire X300, it will still fit in this bag. It's not only gonna fit a stock gun, which is really nice. Some of the other manufacturers that have tried to do this, you can't fit any attachments in the kit itself, so it's nice that this is versatile. It's also movable, so you can move this whole thing. If you wanted to stick more mags in here, you can. If you wanted to stick another gun. We actually fit the Prodigy in here with the 2311, which is really nice. So if you had more than one gun, you could take it to the range. It's really nice they took it an extra step and gave you a really nice bag and didn't just give you a crappy plastic box that you're never gonna use again. We actually did do an unboxing on this. If you guys wanna check out the short form, go to our channel and check that out. Another thing they added was this little thank you card. It tells you the break-in procedure, where you can find more parts and accessories, and even how to contact them if you're having issues. It's really nice they did that. A lot of manufacturers, they're really hard to get a hold of. It seems like OA Defense is really trying to provide support for their customers. Since this is an expensive gun, it kind of makes sense that they would take it that extra mile and give you direct communication. Okay, so how does the 2311 compare to other handguns? So today, we were at the range, we shot the Prodigy, which is a 2011, very similar footprint, and we shot the SIG P320. Since this gun uses 320 mags, we thought it was only fair to do that, and I was actually pleasantly surprised with the results. So what's really nice about this is it's a 2011 that shoots like a 320 with all the pros of a 320 and not many of the cons of a 2011. The Prodigy is just incredibly heavy. Coming in at 2 pounds and 11 ounces, this gun you really can't carry. It's kind of a duty gun, if you even want to call it that. It's kind of heavy. Shoots very flat, but it's not perfect for concealed carry and really even duty carry. Whereas the 2311 comes in at 2 pounds, 2.5 ounces, which is only half an ounce more than this built 320. Now, obviously not all 320s are going to look like this and have all these attachments and have a full-size frame and a mag extension, but I actually carried this for 7 days and it really wasn't that bad. For this being such a small package, it's probably gonna be a lot easier to carry. You're gonna have a smaller frame. You're gonna see that it's not nearly as long as the 320. So that's gonna make this gun a lot easier to carry. And since it's about the same weight as that setup, and during that time when I carried this 320, what was most noticeable was the size, not the weight. I think this would actually be a really good carry option, and I'll probably end up carrying it for 7+ days to see how I like it. With all that being said, what's really nice is you get a very light 2011, and with that comes a very light trigger pull, a nice hammer fire system, a safety if you're used to it, and with this having porting, it shot relatively flat. It was very comparable to the 320, but it definitely didn't shoot as flat as the Prodigy, which makes sense. This gun weighs a lot more, and it definitely has that going for it. If I had to guess, I would probably run a build drill or a 1 reload 1 about the same time with this 2311 as I would with the 320, and I have a lot of training with the 320. I think this is a very good middle ground for somebody who wants a 2011 but is used to carrying a smaller compact 320, and I think aesthetically it looks a lot better than a striker-fired gun. That's kind of a silly thing, but a gun doesn't have to be just this tool you use for only one use case. I think if you really like the look of a gun, there's a chance you're gonna carry it more. Even if you don't carry it more, you're probably gonna shoot it more. and you're gonna enjoy it more and you're gonna get better with it. So I think it's definitely a win-win. It's a very good middle ground between two very different handguns. If I had to choose between the Springfield Prodigy or the baseline 2311, I'd probably choose the 2311. Yes, it's $400 or $500 more, but it's significantly lighter, and I would actually carry this, and I probably will carry this. It's a lot better form factor and size than the Prodigy, and it's a lot lighter. So as I said earlier, we only have a couple hundred rounds on this. I think we're somewhere around the 300 round mark. Haven't had a single issue. We did not put any lube on it. It already came semi-lubed up, and we just took it to the range right out of the box and shot it. Had no issues. We shot 115 grain, 124 grain ammo in its stock configuration without a light optic and mag extension, and it ran just fine. And then we built it out how I would actually carry this gun, put a few more rounds through it, and it ran just fine. So I don't think we're gonna have too many issues with this. One thing to note with any ported gun is they kind of crap where they eat, so to speak, and there's just a really high potential of this area getting incredibly dirty. You can already see it's getting pretty disgusting. The only problem with that is when this goes fully back into battery, you see it starts riding on the barrel about right here. If there's a lot of carbon buildup there, you can get, you know, some cycling issues. So just keep that in mind if you have the ported version, to pretty much always keep this area clean and super lubed up. You won't have any issues. Another thing with ported guns is with all these openings in the slide, you can get debris in here. It could just be lint or particles. It's just one thing that could go wrong when you're shooting. You know, if you go to use this in a situation, you pull it out, you draw, you shoot, you get one round off, and then you get locked back because of debris in your slide. That kind of defeats the purpose of a carry gun. That's why I typically try to not do slide milling on my slides, and I like to keep it all enclosed. But this thing did reduce recoil. It just has openings in the slides that could be a potential issue for either a duty setup or a carry setup. What's really cool about running a port instead of a compensator is you're not gonna have any length, and you're still gonna reduce recoil, which is pretty obvious, but reducing recoil is relatively important. If you can do it with either weight, a port, or a compensator, I think it's gonna add a lot of benefit to your shooting split times and overall your ability to be a much better shooter. One thing I did notice when shooting this is without the optic, occasionally, I would say maybe once a mag, I would catch some unburnt powder right to the forehead. It was just annoying more than actual pain, but I'd be shooting and I'd feel it hit my face. It would take my mind off shooting and then I'd come back again. It was just kind of annoying. It really wasn't enough to slow me down too much, but it definitely did not feel good shooting this without an optic. When we threw the optic on, you can actually see where the unburnt powder is hitting the glass of the optic. I think it's coming out of this top cut in the slide. It didn't happen enough that I would not buy this gun. It's kind of annoying, and it's one of the downfalls to any ported gun. If you run any ported setup that has all these ports on top, you're bound to catch some unburnt powder or gases to the face. Just kind of comes with the territory of a ported gun, but it's one thing I did notice, so I had to throw it in there. When you're looking at the price of this setup, this comes in at $2,350. So that's definitely not cheap. It's substantially more than the Springfield Prodigy, about $1,000 more. And for this built 320, you're looking at probably a couple $100 more than it. So why is this gun cost so much, and what makes it special? So this gun is not for somebody who wants to buy a cheap $500 gun and run it as a carry gun. This is gonna be for somebody who wants a very good do-all gun, which, as I've said in many videos, that's definitely me. I'm the target niche for this. I like guns that can be used for carry and competition, and this does a very good job integrating both. It's got the thumb rest, it's got porting, carries a full-size optic, we got 15 rounds plus a mag extension, got a nice mag well, a phenomenal trigger. So for me, I'm more than willing to pay this for this build. It has everything I want, and I can use it for pretty much any situation. One thing to know with that price tag is this is a premium handgun, and it matches other premium handguns in the niche. The Staccato C2 costs pretty much the same price, and again, it's a premium 2011. One thing to keep in mind with the 2311 is the base model is only $1,900, which is definitely a lot of money, but it's a good middle ground between the Springfield Prodigy and the Staccato C2. So I think it's worth noting that there is a good middle ground there. And frankly, I think the aesthetics of the 2311 might even be a little bit better than the Staccato. Another big thing that just gets completely overlooked is it uses 320 mags. It doesn't use these huge proprietary 2011 mags. I can definitely appreciate that from OA Defense, as I have a plethora of 320 mags. And obviously we make mag extension for it, so there's already some aftermarket support for this gun, which is really cool. So if you're in the market for a high quality 2011, I think this does a really good job of filling that niche. There's a lot of models for you to choose from. Frankly, I think the compact is the right size for me. I would like to see maybe a 17 round version in the future without a mag well, but I think this is a very good, high quality premium handgun, and I'm excited to do more testing on it to see how it holds up in long-term testing, and maybe even get a Staccato C2 to compare this to Drop a comment down below if you guys are interested in seeing that comparison. If you guys like this video, we'd appreciate a like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.